I started this gangster shit, and this the mother thanks I get. Hello. I started this gangster shit, and this the mother thanks I get.
Hey, if you like this content but haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. Thanks. Don't be a fool with your life. Hey there, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. My name is Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of the comic book industry. It's an industry. It's not a club. It's not a community. It's not a social gathering. It is an industry. I am the world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Star Wars fan, trusted member of the media, Comicsgate in a nutshell. A lot of people sent me this article today. They sent it to me via Twitter. They sent it to me via email. They said, hey, Ethan, you were mentioned in this article. Carrier pigeon showed up in my office and said, you were mentioned in this article, Ethan. Do you want to talk about it? Yeah, I do. I want to talk about this. But this is what happens when you actually write something nice or say something nice about a website. I said Cosmic Book News is not garbage tier. They are a trusted media outlet. And thus, they decided to include me in this article called DC Comics Driving Off a Cliff, tweets Rob Liefeld. Oh my dear God. Lord help me. This is Rob Liefeld right here. Rob Liefeld is wearing this beautiful Star Wars t-shirt that I also own that is available at Target. Or is it Walmart? I don't know, but it's I saw it and I went, that's very stylish. I like the blue and I like the white. And I like that shirt. And I purchased one as well. Rob Liefeld, basically, if you don't know, represents everything good and bad about comic books in the 1990s. Rob Liefeld led... he was on the crest of the wave of the Image Comics movement. Big guns, big thighs, little heads, and lots and lots of pouches and weapons and belts and things like that. Swords, like just big, huge swords all the time in all of his characters' hands, and ponytails. What else? So much. Like, when you think about the 90s, really everything that you love about it and everything that was kind of goofy about it, probably the responsibility of this man. And he has made millions of dollars in comics, so shut your mouth when you criticize him. He knows exactly what he's doing, okay? He knew how to appeal to people. He found the right demographic of people who were willing and able and interested in purchasing comics, and he aimed comics right for them. That's what a genius Rob Liefeld actually is. So what is he saying about what is he saying about DC Comics? Echoing thoughts by Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, Rob, you're echoing my thoughts. I'm sure he'd be thrilled to read that. Comic book artist Rob Liefeld unleashes a firestorm of tweets offering that he thinks the demise of DC Comics could come sooner rather than later. He said, DC Comics gonna drive off a cliff here real soon. Gotta get my popcorn. Liefeld tweeted earlier today. Well, that's not nice. The tweet was seen by Mark Miller. No, I love Mark Miller, man. You want to talk about another comic book genius? Besides myself, I mean. Mark Miller is absolutely incredible. An amazing writer with just... I'll tell you, his comics really have boo-walls, as they say. Amazing guy. Known for Kick-Ass and Klansman, as well as writing Marvel's Civil War and Old Man Logan. See, when he writes for Marvel, he writes some classics. He said, really, I think it's their strongest lineup since the 1980s, and all their big characters have really strong teams, and all at the same time, is there something on the horizon? And Liefeld replied back, Mark, you're reading your DC Best in the 1980s collection again. Happens to me too sometimes. All right, so Liefeld is thoroughly taking shots at DC Comics. Oh, he also said in a subsequent tweet, I ain't never seen a company... Why is he talking like this? I ain't never seen... Rob, you're not from Jersey, pal. I ain't never seen a company in as much disarray as DC Comics. Thank God they have Batman to act as their Tylenol, aspirin, laughing gas. More Batman will fix it. Rob is throwing shade. That is some massive shade at DC. Now, Rob hasn't worked for DC Comics since, I'd say, about 2012 or so, during the DC New 52 launch. And he came in, he was doing Deathstroke and Hawkman. And neither was really received all that well. And then I remember there was some fighting. There was a lot of fighting with editorial. And I was there. I mean, I was doing Firestorm at the same time that he was doing that, and I was also fighting with editorial. Now, all of the other books, well, I wasn't fighting with editorial. My writer was fighting with editorial, and I was trying to survive that kind of conflict. Now, all of that, all of that is very memorable, and I remember Rob Liefeld also leaving in a huff, and I don't think he's been back. He might have been back to DC for one or two things, I don't recall, but I think he left and he has not looked back except to laugh. So this is pretty funny here. Rob Liefeld saying the end is near. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. DC Comics closing. Rob Liefeld also commented on the possibility that his opinions could see him lose work at DC. He said, "I understand my DC honesty will cost me a potential opportunity, but who cares? Come on, they should fire everybody in management and refresh. Batman will still be there for the next group," he tweeted, "and Jim Lee could finally draw the X-Men for you again. Wins all around." Damn, this is scorched earth. So Jim Lee is like co-president of DC Comics, and because he's there, he's only going to be drawing DC characters. Does it matter? Do people want to see Jim Lee work for X-Men? And if he were work for Marvel drawing X-Men, and if he were freed up from his contract at DC and was no longer president or co-president or whatever his title is, would he would he ever return to freelance again? I don't see why he would. The man is very, very wealthy. He might retire at that point. Liefeld also replied to fans that didn't quite agree with him. He said, "I've been making comic books professionally for 33 years, since I was 18. I have record-setting sales. You want to attempt to lecture me, I'll block you faster than you could say my name. Rob, lie, boom. Blocked." Lie and Rob. The comic book site also replied to a series of tweets with Rob offering, "Interesting take, buddy." He said, "They're driving towards the bookstore market. DC Inc. and Zoom is just the beginning. They never put $500,000 into marketing their comics to anyone, but they are for these books, and they're cleaning up the rest of the line to keep them safe. DC is rebranding." He says, "Interesting take." Yeah, this is always depressing when you hear things like this. This is Augie DeBlick Jr., who writes for CBR. These guys who talk about their version of the future being at bookstores, when bookstores are basically closing, like all these brick and mortar stores are closing, just the same as comic book retailers are closing down. The future is not in putting comic books in bookstores. I'm sorry, don't be stupid. That stuff is going away. It's all going away. People do not want to leave their houses. They don't want to. You know what? The other day I was like, boy, I wish I had some candy bars. And I just ordered them from Amazon. I don't care if I have to wait 2 days. It means I don't have to get in my car and go out and get them. That's an extreme example, but it is true. People don't want to do this. People would rather just order things. You want anything that you want. Why would you risk going out, getting in your car, driving out there, risk getting into a 60-car pileup, whatever it is, spend the money on gasoline, only to walk into a store, have to be around other people who smell bad in order to find something that might not even be there. When I want a Rose Tico action figure and I go to Target to buy one and they don't have one, what a waste of my time. When I could just go on the internet and just find, a Rose Tico and do it that way. So things are definitely going to change. This whole thing, the bookstore market, you got to be kidding me. No, wrong. A fan also commented on the similarities between WB's comic book division and movie division, with Liefeld offering his thoughts. Same as WB Pictures in their handling of the DCEU. He says it's all one big cluster. Some good stuff breaks through, though. Okay, so to be fair, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. But yeah, for the most part, it's garbage. Regarding former DC Comics artist Ethan Van Sciver, who thinks Comicsgate is responsible for the collapse of the industry. Now, hold on. I didn't say that at all. I said Comicsgate is going over here to avoid the collapse of the industry. We're not responsible for the collapse of the industry at all, and I resent that. That is not correct, Cosmic Book News. Are we going to have to change our minds about you being garbaged here? Correct that. Interestingly enough, Liefeld's comics seem to corroborate that thinking, as fans are no longer buying issues of new comics but sending their money on older issues. This is what most of my retailers are experiencing. Well, so this guy says, nearly all the money that would have gone to new comics is pouring into back issues, typically from the 60s to the 90s. They make up 80% of my shop sales now. And if it weren't for those, I would have already closed the shop, like so many other stores. Rob Liefeld said, "This is what most of my retailers are experiencing as well. People still want to buy comics, so they're buying yesterday's comics instead." Direct quote. In other words, everything that is coming out now is social justice warrior garbage. Garbage. These people do not care about comics. They've forgotten how to make comic books. Frankly, they've forgotten who their audience is. And therefore, their comics are not selling. But there's still people who want to buy comics, and the old stuff is still just as good as it ever was. So go back and buy those back issues. Liefeld's thoughts and tweets follow it recently being said that DC Comics is closing their Vertigo line, which follows the company cutting back on the number of titles published per month. Yeah, okay, so I think that's that. Now, Rob Liefeld, I would say the DC closing, DC is doing everything that they should be doing, I think, to stay afloat during these troubled times. I don't see DC closing. I see Marvel closing first. And yet Marvel has the movie division. The MCU is actually kind of doing almost everything correctly. So in terms of, if it were just a foot race between comic book companies, Marvel would be on their way out and DC would kind of be a little bit stronger. They're cutting back their line. I mean, they're not publishing as many comics as they used to. And yeah, it is true. You know, Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp on Green Lantern, a book that's close to my heart. That book is dynamite. Almost everything that they're putting out with their main characters, as Mark Miller said, is good. It just doesn't matter anymore because the rest of the market has been dragged down so far that you've got a handful of really, really great books and just not enough, and not enough interest. So it's funny. I don't know why Rob's picking on DC so hard, but it is kind of funny. Look, it's all bad. The industry is a mess. Comicsgate is we're doing our own thing over here, and we're hoping to kind of be able to continue doing our own thing. But watching the mainstream circle the drain and watching this guy talk about it and admit it, Rob's quite right. I think he understands business. He understands the comic book business, and he is going to be kind of merciless about and honest about it in ways that other people wouldn't dare. So great article. Who wrote this? Is this Matt McGloin again? All right, Matt, good job. And thanks very much, everybody. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Also, back Cyberfrog Vampirella, the variant cover. I'm going to put the link in the description. It's funny. Comicsgate is actually reinvading the mainstream. We're going to be able to be doing some of the mainstream characters kind of meeting our characters. The first one is the Cyberfrog variant cover with Vampirella. And that is on Indiegogo right now. Also, you can still back Cyberfrog Blood Honey for a limited period. We're going to print, and don't miss a chance to get a copy of that book. Thanks, everyone. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Let me know what you think of this. I think it's hilarious. This was the funniest article that I read in a long time. Good stuff. Hey, I got a P.O. box. Want to send me some mail? Send it to Ethan Van Sciver, P.O. Box 607, Marlton, New Jersey, 08053. And I'll probably open it up on the live stream. Thanks very much, everyone. Hey, you want to follow me on Twitter? Are you sure? Well, if so, I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. That's at Ethan Van Sciver. See you there. Hello, potential Indiegogo backers. Hello, friends. My name is Ethan Van Sciver. I'm a comic book creator who worked for 20 years for Marvel and DC Comics on books like Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, Batman, and X-Men. But before that, I had a comic book called Cyberfrog. Now, Cyberfrog lasted from 1993 to 1998, and then it stopped when I went to go work for DC Comics. Now I want to tell the story of where Cyberfrog has been for the last 20 years. I want to write, pencil, ink a book called Cyberfrog Blood Honey that tells the story of gigantic alien hornets that come to Earth and conquer it, sending Cyberfrog into deep hibernation, where he emerges now in the year 2018 into a completely alternate reality, a new world where these hornets have taken over, devastated humanity, using human skin to make gigantic wasp hives, and harvesting human blood to make honey to feed their young. Very few humans still exist. But it's up to Cyberfrog to save what's left of humanity and turn back the damage that's been done by these wasps with his brother Salamandroid and his friend Heather Swain. I want you to help me do this. We're going to get colors by Kyle Ritter. He's a fantastic colorist, and he's going to make this book sing. I'd like this to be a 48-page one-shot prestige format, part 1 of 4. So I'm asking you to help me launch the very first Cyberfrog Blood Honey epic graphic novel. Are you in? Will you help me? I hope so. Let's get this frog jumping again. If you enjoyed this video and want to become part of this community, subscribe to this channel by clicking the Laughing Man face logo right on your screen. Ring the bell for notifications as well. You'll never miss a live chat. And stay tuned, another video by Comic Artist Pro Secrets is coming right up.